Hello, human being. Happy New Year to you, wherever you are, whatever northern or southern hemisphere. Best wishes to you and Happy New Year. New full moon in Cancer, which is going to occur on January 3rd, 2:02 a.m. Pacific time. And for most of the world on the 3rd, full moon in Cancer. It's an interesting way to start the year, don't you think? In a feelings place, the moon loves to be in the sign of Cancer, and it's sitting next to Jupiter in the sky, which is still currently retrograde. And we deal with the emotional content of how we like to be nurtured, how we nurture, how we process feelings, the subject matter of dealing with the past and ancestry and lineages and memories and family, what that all means. And the Cancer moon usually will hold those narratives in its protective container. Sometimes the protective container leaks out. Jupiter being next to the full moon in Cancer enhances all this subject matter for however calming or intense. And I'm going to lead more towards that here on the forecast because it's pretty much opposite the Capricorn Sun and Mercury and Mars and Venus in Capricorn. Now, first of all, Mercury just entered into Capricorn actually while I'm making this video here on January 1st, after, I think, to me, it's actually the unofficial official ending of the Mercury retrograde cycle that started when Mercury went retrograde in Sagittarius, went all the way back to Scorpio, then came all the way back, and finally it's moving fast, and it's wanting a goal, and it's wanting facts and a plan to walk towards and achieve with the mind, along with Mars that has the energy and the push to construct, and Venus, which is finding the resources to do this in Capricorn. All of this reality, Saturn-based sign of Capricorn with these 4 planets there, are opposite the touchy-feely place of the moon. And so here is where you have the challenge. And I feel in this particular full moon, especially because it's at the end and beginning of a year, that we're wondering what's going to happen. And for a lot of us, we do that in our head. And for those who do it in our head, we can have anxiety and have spin-off narratives in our brain. Some of us are coming from a more emotional place. Regardless, we're trying to understand safety and security and how to set that up and where it's going to be in the future. Naturally, the end of a year, beginning of a year. But with the full moon happening here, I think this is inflamed. I think Jupiter really pushes this up. Jupiter being retrograde now for several months still is lingering and reviewing past motives, past emotional narratives, past whatever. And at the same time, we have to step forward. And all the planets in Capricorn want to do this. If you're going to take anything from this video or the astrology of the month, for those who are going to see a forecast that's going to come up in the next 24 hours about this, to my channel members, all that, I want you to imagine a bridge that you're building day by day. The bridge on one side starts from the past in the last year and a half of astrology, basically, and then the other side is this new world that the whole world is entering when we deal with fire and air, basically. And so basically this month of January is the step-by-step process. Now cycles overlap, stories overlap. As we're building, knowing we have to cross the bridge and build the bridge, we're still carrying past stories, memories, and things that we're processing, right? And that can be an interesting place. Now, with the moon in Cancer, it could linger and not want to leave its shell and cross the bridge. For even the anxiety that some may feel, or the questioning of the world and what's happening, or what's going to happen in the future, it's innate in certain people to create a instinctual protection mechanism that you find your safe space in through the storm, right? And then if I were to ask you, it's time to cross the bridge, and it seems to be stormy while we have to build the bridge and cross the bridge, you're not going to leave that space. As a matter of fact, you might be shedding some tears there. You might be sensitive. You might be like, I don't know about that. I don't feel safe enough to do something like that yet. The Capricorn side knows what has to be done regardless of the winds and the storm. It says we need to do this now, we need a plan, and we need to do it step by step. Now, I feel that January, this happens actually on the down low, and it's very secretive of how it is. It isn't extravagant, like we build the bridge in one day type of thing, and then expect immediate results. It isn't that. It's a step-by-step process where we have to be practical and real and toughen up and use Mars and Capricorn, Venus, Mercury, and the Sun to take those fearless steps. You know, Mars and Capricorn doesn't mess around when it's locked in on a project. It does not let anything get in its way. It will find the tools and resources and it will just lock in and do it. I mean, this is great for those who are starting and initiating projects. If your project is your life for the next year, I like the transits. I like Mercury being there too, you know. But still, there's that sensitive, tender, maybe internal story that's going on. And so for me, I wrote, how is security achieved in the sign of Capricorn and in the sign of Cancer? And the interesting thing is, they do it in two different ways. Cancer does it with the moon. Capricorn does it through Saturnian situations, right? Saturn's in Pisces right now. We know what's going on with there. I'll finish with that at the end of this video. But they both have that thing in common. How they find internal security and how they find security externally. So somehow, can both sides find a compromise? I feel here the Cancer moon can bring sensitivity, and Cancer or Capricorn's like, hey, forget the tears, you know, toughen up. Come on, let's do the bridge. Let's go. We've had enough of emotional waters the last 3 months with the transits and everything else. You know, there's this thing, and Cancer moon's like, well, why do you have to be like this? You're not listening to my feelings, or I need to sit and process. And I think for each individual person, they have to know which side they're on. Are they on a more practical reality, let's get it done, Capricorn side, or are they a sensitive moon, right? Can they bridge the two? Can the two have a conversation to do this? I just feel that the Jupiter and Cancer retrograde with the moon, it might be a little bit more sensitive on that end, and Capricorn is going to have to feel that one out with them, which I think they don't like to do, but they know that they need Cancer in order to go forward. They both need each other, right? I wrote here, feelings can be overwhelmed when not heard. So here's the Cancer archetype with the moon. It's like, aren't you hearing what I'm saying or feeling it? On your other side, Mercury and Capricorn just entering there is like, yeah, but we need to transfer that into a plan. Again, this doesn't have to happen now in 24 hours, Mercury's saying. Mars is saying, Venus and the Sun. But they are listening to the Cancer moon, who's pouring all over them, right? Emotionally. So they have to figure something out. And so when we deal with full moons, we deal with the sun on one side and the moon on the other, right? And so when we deal with, that's called an opposition, things are 180 degrees away from each other. Can we find the middle ground here? And so I feel like there's conversation. While this goes on, you know, the moon, just know, if you're a watery type of person, this is familiar area. If you have a lot of air in your chart, or even some fire, you might feel cornered in by emotional situations of the moon like this, and you might have to stand in that for a little bit and take that in and pull out of your top part of your head into your emotional core, right? There's been a lot of practice with this kind of movement for people since Jupiter went into Cancer. You know, last July basically was when it happened, June, July. And we did, the last several months, we did this grand water trine stuff where we're doing, you know, Saturn and Pisces, Neptune and Pisces, Jupiter and Cancer. Like, there's been a lot of maneuvering and sailing through these waters. So I think those who have difficulty dealing with water situations still might have, but I think you have some experience here. Now, for those who are always in the watery realm and overwhelmed and from one emotion to the next, I'll be real with you. You need to fucking figure out a way to corral this stuff and corral it together. I think that's part of it. Sometimes you need to hear stern something. Now, depends on how sensitive you are. If I say, you know what, shed your tears, get it together, and let's go. We're going out the door. We're late, okay, to build the first part of the bridge. And how I said that to you, my tone of voice, how did that feel to you when I did that, right? And that's a type of thing that can happen. Now, if I was the Capricorn at a high level, how would I do this, right? I'd say, oh, I understand. I could see why you're feeling and what's going on with you, Cancer moon. And I can understand why you're sensitive and why you might have some fear about the future and what's going on because of these past experiences, and you're looking at what's going on and no one seems to be paying attention to what people are feeling, and they're just moving up past something and pushing it down under the surface. But you feel these things. I could totally understand how sensitive you are. But, you know, is there any way we could do this? We do have to take a step, though. We do have to walk outside the door. So how do you feel? What would be a way for you to take that step that you still feel safe? I'm here to help you. I'm here to hold the foundation for you to do this. We need each other. How can we do this, right? So that's the type of conversation that Capricorn can do, knowing in the background, they need to get it done. They have their own worry in the background, Capricorn, because they're like, if we don't get it done now, everything's going to fall apart. We won't be able to cross the bridge, right? So it's how it's handled. It's how it's communicated. It's how what it says to them oneself. But me, Nicholas, Sparkles of Gold on this channel, I'm a Saturnian type of person in the end. Get your shit together, man. This is a big month. Listen, in 2 weeks from now, after we do the full moon, we're going to do a new moon in Capricorn at 28 degrees that makes this incredible harmonious sextile relationship with Saturn and Pisces. It's like Saturn and Pisces this month is kind of like secretly in the background going, I'm about to end my transit for 2.5 years in Aries in February. Neptune at the end of January is going to leave Pisces after 14 years. And Saturn's like giving this profound, really straightforward wisdom to those who are listening, who are truly listening and waiting, even those in fear. Saturn and Pisces are going to tell you, it doesn't matter in one sense. You feel what you feel and you get through it, but you need to move forward. Why? Have faith in everything. Everything works out in the end. Life keeps going. The clock keeps on ticking. The Saturnian clock keeps going. How can you bring in tools to deal with the uncertainty? For some, they need a plan, and it will take the Capricornian view. For the emotional water place, there's a thing about mystery and trust in the unknown and faith in something more to guide you. And so here this month, we really actually practically put that into play. It's not that we just think about it or feel it. We actually take internal and external steps to do this in the month of January. And this full moon in Cancer is a big step towards that. That's how I'm thinking about this. I wrote here to myself, all the Capricorn planets want a plan, not a crying fest. I wrote that. Finding the balance between regulated feelings and integrating the Capricorn practicality plan that has an end goal, a balance. Cancer moon with Jupiter might feel resistance to that plan, but it's good that Saturn is in Pisces to bring faith to the plan, right? So that's what I think about this interesting full moon in the beginning of the year. Hey, I'm optimistic. I'm as cynical and Saturnian as they come on this channel and stuff, but I'm an optimistic person. If I tell you the one thing that's happened to me with all the conversations and the clients I had in the year of 2025 is like, is this going to work out? Look what's happening in the world, blah, blah, blah. We're messed up, we're fucked, we're effed. What would you do if you were in my position? What would you tell me if I came to you and said that, right? How would you create the container and space where you would acknowledge, you know, my feelings, anxieties, or my questions in life? And at the same time, you know, what's the plan? And it's something, again, that I've learned so much from my client work in ways. Everyone's on a different timeline and pacing with stuff like this. Some are ready to roll. And they're like, come on, Nicholas, help me with this. I need some timing. You know, I need to know what's going on in the next 2 months, 6 months. Other people, like, they're afraid to come out of the shell. And I'm like, hey, you know, you hired me. I'm looking at you here. And I'm like, these are the narratives going on in your world astrologically. At the same time, one still has to make the choice when they feel that they're ready. And, you know, how do we have those conversations? How do we move in those spaces? You can watch my channel, a bunch of other people's channels. They go, hey, this is happening, that. But then you're like, I'm not feeling that. It's not really connecting, right? So I think here with the upcoming year, I think if one could look at creative ways and alternative ways to even look at their life or process their feelings or whatever, is to step out regardless. Whether you could step out the door, not tomorrow or eventually, but to even step out within. And so within the feelings place or within home, that you just rearrange something. You do something. We do it at the end of a year and the beginning of the year. We evaluate externally and internally, right? There's some things you bring to the donation place, or you recycle, or you throw out, and there's the things you carry forward with you. There's the to-do list for the year, there's the goals, all that, right? But we want it to fulfill itself. And a lot of times we're in fear because we have questions and we stand in our own way. I know many of you have external situations that you're not in control of that are standing in your way, and those are very difficult things, you know, and sometimes it's like you have to wait it out, or you have to grind through, unfortunately. But still, there is an internal choice of how one reacts to things. And so for me, you know, if you can find the creative way of reacting, whether you're pissed or happy or sad, can it be done in a way, or can it be channeled and moved in a way? And I'm saying this to you at the end of the video to understand here in the beginning of January, if you're building the bridge that I'm talking about, and even if you're shedding tears while you're laying the foundations and crying about what has been lost in the past and with the fears ahead of you, and at the same time, you do take the step creatively, even with that to put the block, you're taking a step forward. So I don't know what you think about that. You let me know in the comments about that. It's going to be something I'm going to be preaching about on this channel significantly this year, because we're going to need it, you know, because I feel with Pluto in Aquarius, Uranus going into Gemini again in April, February we'll have Neptune and Saturn in Aries. July, we're going to have Jupiter going to Leo. We're going to have fire and air, and it's inevitable. Regardless of your timeline, it's inevitable that you'll be having to express externally, and you won't be the only one. Maybe start this month with that one building block to cross the bridge. All right. Thanks for listening. If you're new here, hit the bell, hit the subscribe. You can join my Patreon or become a channel member here on YouTube. You can get a session with me. I got the links down below. You go sparklesofgold.com. I got another couple videos I'm editing for my members, a great interview that I'm about to put up. Check out the videos that I'm going to put up here for your viewing enjoyment, to feed the algorithm for Sparkles of Gold to help the channel out. All right. With that, I send you the biggest, most hopeful, but practical blessings for 2026. I'll see you on the next video.